Today we're going to go ahead and start loading up for my 6-dasher. It has an Excalibur 7.5 twist bull barrel that's 24 inches long with a 115 thousandths free bore. The muzzle is threaded 5/8 by 24 so that I can run a suppressor on it. I also have a Savage action. I decided to go that way. Cost-wise, do a little testing, see how this thing works out. It's got the standard Accu trigger with it. I had to do some modifications to it to get it to cycle properly. Had some ejection issues. Haven't really gone in depth with it. I did previously post one little video on it on some of the things I did, but I didn't get too in depth. It's running a MDT Hunter stock with a Night Force 5x20 scope. And then the suppressor I'm using is a Lane Scorpion Magnum suppressor. Today we'll be loading 105 grain Berger VLDs. I've had pretty good luck with these in the past with other 6 caliber bullets. We'll be loading them to an approximate 2.4 inch overall length. I say that because let's see here. These are the great things with hollow points. We'll go ahead and zero this micrometer. Hopefully you can see that okay. So we'll go ahead and open this bad boy up. Slide one of these in here. Try and get it here just right. So this one here is reading 2.3890. And we'll get this bad boy up here just to show the difference in them. This one here is an amazing 2.4305. That's a huge difference. You think, wow, this guy, he can't see the bullet. Well, I can tell you I'm not the best at it. But for anybody who does some serious reloading trying to go for accuracy, you need some of these comparator gauges. So here we got a comparator on here. And now let's check them. Same 2 bullets. This one here is 2.025. So put it down. We'll go back to this bad boy. See what it reads. Huh. Look at that. Almost the exact same number. Oh, I'll rotate a little. It is the exact same number. So these hollow points, whenever they work on these tips up here, that's part of the bolt, they swedge in there. The lengths tend to be off a bit. And it's kind of amazing. These are just a couple bullets I had left after doing some shooting, trying to get my brass all sized to the chamber. And I had a couple left over, and I measured them just to check them out. And I thought, man, that's pretty crazy, the size difference. But those are the reasons you want to get a comparator when you're seating bullets. The other thing you want a comparator for, and hopefully I didn't mess these up too much. Well, I guess I shouldn't be able to. They were new brass to begin with. So we'll go ahead and zero this bad boy out. We'll check the shoulder. So when you're reloading, you need to make sure you try and get that shoulder bumped back just right each and every time. But with new brass or once fired brass, sometimes it's hard. But if you get it a few times, it's pretty much right on. So we'll just zero this on this one. See, it's all zeroed there. We'll try this one. Should be pretty close. Let's see here. Oh yeah, it's spot on. Yeah, pretty close to spot on. So that's what you want. The actual overall length, if you want to go by that, the best thing to do is have some of those tip bullets. You get your Blitz Kings, your tipped Match Kings, those sorts of things. Generally, those ones will be within a few thousandths. But otherwise, always try and measure off the ogive right here. It's got a lot better success with that. So for today's deal, I'm going to be using a couple powders here. And we'll be using some CCI small rifle primers, VV N150 and Reloader 15.5. The brass we're going to be using today is Peterson brass. We will be going through trying a whole bunch of different charge weights in there as well. The basic goal here, we'll shoot 2 10-shot groups after we get these loaded, and once I get a day where it's not so windy, and we'll go out, and on both of these the powders are pretty close for charge weights. So we're going to start with the VV at 31.6 and work our way up to 32.5 at 10th grain increments. And the 15.5 will do the same thing, 31.6 up to 32.5. I do use Gordon's reloading tool, otherwise known as GRT, a lot of times to work up some of these loads. It's a little bit towards the lower side where I start, but it's actually getting up into the slight little caution zone there at the 32.5. The velocity ranges we'd expect with the VV 150 is 2730 up to a little over 2800. With the Reloader 15.5, it's going to start off at around 2800 and go up close to 2900, according to all the data that Gordon gives me. And sometimes it's pretty accurate, sometimes it's not. So we're going to have to watch for pressure signs as we do this. So we're going to watch the groups, kind of see which powder this gun likes. We'll shoot them at the target and go through and see which powder tends to group good. You know, we might not find either one's too happy. But I'm not one of those guys that looks for the speed nodes. I haven't really been fully sold on it. Maybe it's because I shoot a lot of the smaller board calibers that are a little more finicky on trying to get those tight ESs. And when you're going up a little 1/10 of a grain or 2/10 of a grain, sometimes you'll shoot one, the next one's a little less speed, the next one's right about the same, and then it jumps up a ways. You can't, in my eyes, you can't just shoot one at a time and work all your way up. You end up running on a lot of data that isn't quite full. You know, if you go through there and you want to do that, that's great. It might not hurt once you think you've got a nice little node there for your powder and your speeds. Go ahead and send 4 or 5 of each just to verify it. It might surprise you. It might not. I know I haven't had good luck with it. But another thing is, I want to see when we get out there, I want to see multiple rounds hitting pretty close to the same spot as we go up in powder charge. I've done a lot of reloading, and it's surprising. You'll go out there and you'll shoot a test and all the bullets all over the place. It just doesn't like the powder. Next time you go out, hey, maybe that entire thing of powder, all those tests, you go out there, you shoot a sub 1 inch group, and you got a lot of options there. Sometimes it's a 2 or a 3 inch group. You see that a lot more with anything that's not a custom barrel. I've shot lots of ARs and cheaper bolt guns, and some of them you come up with a pretty good load. Some of them they just don't like anything. But yeah, we'll go ahead. We'll get this started. We'll go ahead. I think I'll just start off with all this new brass. I'll go ahead, get the cases lubed, and then I'll kind of show you what I do from there. So I went ahead, I used some Imperial dye wax. I went ahead and took these new cases, went ahead and waxed all down the sides here, a little bit on the shoulder. The main part is this with once fired brass. This new brass here, there shouldn't really need to be much sizing done. The main thing I'm doing here is to make sure the case neck got that all nice and round, centered. So we'll run it through. I did go ahead. I grabbed one of my cases. I was wrong. The ones I grabbed earlier, they weren't new cases. They were once fired and I'd already sized these. So these ones right here, go ahead and zero it on those. That's kind of the 0 point on where my shoulder is for my chamber being bumped back just a little bit. Here's a nice new case. They're, about 3/1000ths back from what the reloaded cases are. And my once fired cases, I got some of those, and you see they're about 2/1000ths larger than my reloaded ones. I bumped back a couple thousandths. So anyways, we'll go ahead and drop these in the tube. I do have a feeder up there, but I generally have that set up for 223 so I can mass produce those. Or I'll also do 9mm 45s. And I don't mind dropping a few of these in here. These ones are fairly short cases. All I did was 20 cases here. Figure 10 for each powder. We'll try them out and see how they work. So the big thing I like to do is just run them through here. Go ahead and do them all with the same sort of pressure each time. That way you get the same results each time. If you go too soft and a little harder and a little softer, your shoulder bumps will be all over the place. Now these ones here, there's not going to be any bumping going on. Being new cases, if anything, we might see the shoulder bump out just a little bit and actually grow just a little, because as we adjust that case, kind of force it up in there, it might make it just a little bit narrower, which will cause it to grow just a touch. So a lot of times when I have new cases and I run them through after already having it sized for a different round, or for that same barrel, to bump the shoulder back, the new brass will actually grow just a little bit because it's not quite touching that part of the die to bump it back. And when it's not touching that, then a lot of times it'll tend to push that shoulder up just a touch. And I got one more little case here. I don't know if I miscounted. That might be 19 that I've done or 20. I'll run this through just to make sure. Probably just knocked one too many out of the case when I was doing it. So now we've got these done. We'll go ahead and check. See if it grew just a little bit. It should have been about 3/1000ths. Let's see what it is now. No, didn't really. Well, hold on. Yeah, it's pretty close. I don't know if that's really changed or that's just a slight difference on the factory ones. So now that we got that done, we'll have to move forward to doing our basic case prep. Case prep, everybody's favorite thing to do. So here I've got my rounds. I'm going to go ahead. We will go ahead and chamfer and deburr the cases. I'll also go ahead and run a 6mm brush up and down on the inside. Sometimes that helps polish the inside of the neck a little bit in case there's a little something left in there. But I'll start here, work here, go back here. And I'll also be wiping off the cases since it still has case lube on it. So once we get done with this stage, then we'll worry about starting to prime them. So yeah, hopefully I can figure out how to edit to turn the noise off, because this thing, it's never the most fun to listen to. So we'll go ahead and get started with number one. Generally, need to kind of wipe it off first or it's a little slick. Do that a little to get it smoothed out. That one there is pretty aggressive. You don't have to hold it very long. And then I just run it through here to knock out anything that was loose. It'll also sometimes transfer a little bit of oil or something in there, which is fine. But from there, We should get nice little chamfer on the inside and the outside the burr. You know, I'll do this a lot of times, feel if my thumbnail catches. That's catching just a little, so I'll give her a little more. The last thing you need is for a little burr on there. Yeah, no, it's not catching at all. So this one here is happy. I'll put a face down over here in the tray. That way I know I still need to prime it. Sometimes you get interrupted, you lose track where you're at, and that's never a good thing to dump some powder in one. And you don't have a primer in there. So now go number 2. And I'll check that out again. Sounds good. And earlier, I couldn't remember. Thought I was only doing 20. I might have done 21, so this will be a good way to find out if I sized one more than I really needed, which that's no big deal. Maybe I'll use it just kind of as a cider beforehand, kind of foul the barrel a little bit. This one here has a little bit more of a burr. Yeah, it still just got a little bit there. Yeah, I kind of rotate a little bit like that, rather than just straight on. Oh yeah, now she's good. Yeah, I was pretty happy that Peterson is making the brass. See, I get talking. I don't know if I did that. Just double checking now. But Peterson makes pretty good brass. You know, I was looking to get some Lapua, whatever everybody wants to call it. We all know what it is. I think that's probably the best brass out there. But Peterson is real good. You know, I've had good luck with Alpha as well. You know, Hornady, yeah, used to be acceptable to me, but anymore, I just use it for plinking ammo, nothing serious. Can't seem to get my ESs that consistent. I've seen flash holes that are way off center. I've kind of lost faith in the Hornady's brass. I still shoot their bullets though. I like a few of them bullets that they got here. So. Yeah, well, I might just pause this video and go through it. I imagine you guys don't need to try and hear my voice over the top of this squealing, chirping mess here. Plus, it's not that exciting. And if anybody's got any questions what I'm doing, why I'm doing it, or why I'm not doing something, definitely feel free to throw it down there below in the comments. Okay, so I went ahead and zeroed my scale, make sure it was on. It's always good whenever you do it, you zero it, put your tray on. It should always hit pretty much the same number after it's been zeroed. Mine's 144.7. Spot on again. So from there, I've already got the brass loaded in the tube. I got 10 rounds in there for the Vitivory powder. We're going to start at 31.6. So it's a little different. A lot of people use loading blocks to get their powder in, but since I'm using a progressive, I've got a funnel up here. This one right here is a FW Arms Auto Centering D primer. I'll just leave it in there. It's not going to affect us at all. But we'll go here. I've got actually, this is not too impressive right there. I got a Franklin Arsenal universal seating deal. I do have the 6mm stem in there. It seems to work okay. I need to get a good seating stem with the micrometer with the Reading dies that I've got. So anyways, we'll get started. I'll run this around until it gets to the stage that the powder is. So you see my little powder thing go up. I know I'm there. We'll go ahead and hit the go button over here. Oh, see, it didn't like it for some reason. 31.6. Oh, yeah, I know I did wrong. Anyways, we'll redo the cowl deal. Sorry about this. Every once in a while I get ahead of myself and I hit a wrong button and I decide I need to recalibrate it after I did everything else instead of hitting the 0. I like to think I fat fingered it, but odds are, in actuality, I probably just hit the wrong button. So we'll make sure it's 144.7 again. Oh, actually it's reading a hair heavier. Of course, there was a little grain that fell out right there at the end of the calibration after I pulled the weights off. Went back to 0. Let's pull this off after it's zeroed. Yep, now it's 144.7. So we're good. 31.6. Let's get this show going. Yeah, one of the kids is home. Got the dogs barking. Yeah, the auto tricklers take a little bit. It's not the fastest thing in the world, but it's a lot more accurate than using your drop measures, your bar measures and stuff that these things run. They work great for little ball powders. This is actually a pretty small extruded powder. I haven't tested it to see how accurate it'd be. But right now, for the testing we're going to do, we want to make sure it's spot on. So we went ahead and canceled out that load. So now we'll go 31.7. Run it up. Let's start and we'll go to the next stage. I've got my 105 grain Bergers set up over here in a little tray, so they're readily accessible for this stage. And after I size them, then I generally just put them in the tray, rather than run them through and dump them out. So this is no different than when you're doing the shoulder. You want to do nice consistent speeds, pressures every time. This one here measured a little much, so we'll go back at it. Every once in a while I'll drop a little extra, or when I run it down, sometimes I'll knock a couple extra out. So always got to watch that, make sure it's staying where it needs to be. Well, there we are, 31.7. Run it down. Remember to cancel it, throw that on. Now 31.8. So we'll go ahead and check this length. So I zeroed this off one of the previous rounds that I did. So I am 1.5 thousandths deeper than the other one. Well, I'll have to watch that and see how consistent. Well, actually right at 1 thousandths. So we're about 1 thousandths deeper in the case, which that's fine. I'm not worried about 1 thousandths. So now we'll throw this in here. Got to put my little light down here in the hole. Makes it a little easier to see. And then we'll set the next one. 31.8 going in. Hit the cancel. 31.9. Remember how I told you gotta make sure all the primers are in? It's pretty damn sure I got them all in, but this one doesn't have one. Now let me double check all the other ones in my tray. I'll have to pull that one later. And I'll load one more up afterwards. Yeah, always good to check them. I failed in that. Look here. Oh, yeah. You know, the thing I was saying earlier about this. Yeah, I'll share my mistakes. I'm not afraid. Anyways, I'm going to have to pull the few that I already did, start over, and we'll be back. Okay, we'll try this again. So what happened last time, I left my auto deprimer in there. I don't know what I was thinking, if I was thinking we were sizing or what. I'm looking at it as just on camera jitters. Haven't really done this sort of thing before to an audience. And when I get to talking, thinking, every once in a while I make a mistake. So anyways, load up 10 of these. I already got the 31.6 for the first load in there. I pulled those rounds out. I got a Franklin Arsenal single stage, kind of a universal deal. Not a huge fan of it. The consistency's, not quite what I want. It's amazing how this Dillon 650 that I got 25 years ago still has the consistency. I don't know, I'll probably reloaded 20-30,000 rounds. Well, a lot more than that if I count all my rifles. But anyways, there was 31.6. Now we'll do 31.7. Get that going. Rotate that over. Seat around. The thing I found, all things you do in life, consistency, be very methodical, do it all the same way. And like I said, I'll share my mistakes as we go. I'm not going to edit them out, be some sort of god. In fact, one of the guys that really helped me out early on, we're talking, well, I shouldn't say early on, but the first guy that really helped me was Johnny's Reloading Bench. I really liked watching that guy. He wouldn't hide his mistakes, at least not that I'm aware of. We cancel it out. 31.8. And he's had a bunch of experiences similar to some of the ones I've experienced. So anyways, first one goes in there. Get that load going on 31.8. Never hurts to look down in there. That's one of the reasons why I get the light. Make sure powder's in there. I have had some powders bridge over. It's generally something like Berger or one of the larger extruded powders with the 22 calibers. That always makes it fun. You think it came in, you roll it over, you look, there's not quite enough, and you just touch anything and it just falls all over your progressive. I get some canned air, blow it out. Okay, I had a visitor a second ago, so I have to edit little things out. The boss doesn't like to be on camera, so we'll get her edited out. Right now I got 31.9 in there, so I've got to go backwards. 31.8 is the one up here that I seeded. 31.7, well, yeah, 31.9. And this is 8, and then that's 7, and 6 is down here. So if I dump powder right now and I let down, I'm going to make a mess. That's the fun part about reloading. Any sort of interruption, bad things can happen. But I'll just double check here, pull this out, look in there. Yep, I got powder. We're good. Put that one in there. Put that in there. Give her up. And 31.9, in we go. Cancel that out. Now we're at 32. Nice round number. So yeah, the wife came in. We got a little donut store here in town. Somebody brought some donuts to her son's work, and he's back home, and he decided to share. He's a pretty good kid. So now we'll do 32.1. Yeah, a little talking, I'm getting out of my normal sync. When I do 10 rounds, I generally go straight across. If I'm shooting group sizes, I'll do 5 vertically. So, a little out of sync here. Still blaming the camera jitters. I'm sure as we move along through this process, it's going to get better. So that was 32.1. Now we do 32.2. Better check this camera. It looks like it might have twisted off angle a little bit. Yeah, it's still fine. And we'll do 32.3. Yeah, a year or two ago, I was going through doing a bunch of load testing on one of my rifles, doing 0.2 of a grain increment. I had my starting point, my ending point, and I ended up not having enough brass to get to my ending number. Somewhere in there, I'd done 2 of the same, and I tried to weigh them all on the scale, but the brass wasn't consistent enough in weight. Ended up having to pull them all. That's sort of problems you have when you get little interruptions. But you can't just go lock yourself in the room. Everybody's got a life, got friends, got family. Who knows, might be work calling for that matter. So yeah, let's get the next one going here. Should be 32.3. And we got 4 and 5. Then we'll swap powders. We'll do the reloader 15.5. I might save you guys the pain of watching me go through that process. But I'll finish these last 3 up here. Yeah, one of these days I might do one on 9mm or 45s. Boy, it's action packed. You get that brass feeder going and yeah, 400 or 500 rounds in an hour. It's pretty crazy. But if you're going for precision loads, this is about the only way to do it. Unfortunately, I can't afford any one of the super high dollar tricklers. I mean, I could make it happen, but I don't know if it's going to add that much. I've had pretty good luck with the consistencies with my speeds and loads. Hold on here. Yeah, 32.5 will be our final load. Yeah, I've got a lot of high hopes for this 6-dasher. I remember there for a while. I lived in Nevada and I had a boss. He asked my past history and I told him I like to reload, like to shoot. He asked me different cartridges and I told him some of the ones I had. He asked me if I had a 6-dasher. I didn't even know what a 6-dasher was. And then he really threw me a curveball. He said, well, you're back from Wyoming. You have all them groundhogs and prairie dogs. You know, what'd you use to shoot them? And, you know, growing up, basically as a ranch kid, we used to just use 22 long rifles. Cheap, inexpensive. You can go out there with 1,000 rounds, come back with no bullets left, and there's still plenty of prairie dogs out there. But yeah, he looked at me and he goes, I can't believe it. You don't use a 20 bar tar? I'd never heard of such a thing. Boy, he swore by it. So at some point down the road, I'll probably build one of those too. He ended up passing away from cancer, and that's kind of why I did this, made this 6-dashers. He always talked about them. I always told him I'd think about getting one, and well, I finally got around to it. So anyways, I'll let you guys go for now. I'll get my powder switched out. loaded up with 15.5. I'll get all 10 of those loaded. And then the next opportunity I get, we'll go to the range. But I almost forgot. We got to do some measuring on these and see the consistency. So we'll start with number 1. Hopefully you guys can see that there. It's basically about 1.5 thousandths. We'll zero that. See how it compares to the rest of them. Hopefully they're all within 1 thousandths or so. That one's 1 thousandth shorter. That one's 1.5 thousandths shorter. This might be a constant theme as I went through it. 1 thousandth shorter. So yeah, my first one, 0.5 thousandths. Well, I'm plenty happy with everything being like that. Oh, there's 1.5 like the first one. Oh wait, the first one I zeroed, never mind. So we're at 1.5 for extreme spread, but plus or minus 1, that was 0. 0.5 thousandths. So yeah, not bad for somebody like myself. I'm not a long-range professional shooter. I have been reloading off and on for the last 30 years, and hopefully I can share some of the things I've learned, some of the experiences I've had, some of the mistakes I've made. But so far, I haven't blown up a gun. Did have some squib loads when I first started. Didn't watch the powder measure. Ended up running out of powder. Didn't have a low level alarm. So had a 9mm. Pulled the trigger. Made just a little bit of noise. Opened it up, looked in the barrel, and had a slug about 2 inches down in there. That was fun getting that removed. But anyways, I'll let you go, and we'll see you on the range the first time the weather permits. Okay, so here we are on the range, getting ready to try our 105 grain Bergers. Got a little ladder test on powders, 31.6 up to 32.5. We'll start with number 1. I'm sure until we get up to around 32, we shouldn't have any issues with pressure. But once we get up there, we'll be checking them. The speed on the first one was 29:10. That one's 29:24. $29.27.5. Don't see anything of concern there. So we'll fire ourselves a couple more. $29.42. $29.47. $29.52. This one over. Yeah, I see a slight little mark here. The injector, but I did round off the injector a little bit, so I'm not really that concerned yet. $29.49. Never fun getting a little older, always having to break the glasses out. Yeah, that one there's the same, just very minor injector mark. $29.64. $29.77. Flat prime, I don't see anything on that. One of the purposes here is just see if the rifle likes this powder. If there's a certain range in the powder, it seems to like. Also kind of find the limits on it and see what it can do performance wise. 2988, not bad for just a powder check. We'll go ahead and slow down a little bit, then we'll do the next. Okay, now we're gonna do the reloader 15.5. I believe it was 31.6 up to 32.5 grains. A little hotter than I thought. 28.75. Gordon's was off. $28.73. Okay, 31.8. Let's see how this goes. That's a little higher than the rest. 28.81. Wonder if that's a trend we're going to see continue or just a one-off. Yeah, a little high, not quite as high as the last one, 28.83. Take a quick peek at this one. You know, we're seeing slight signs of pressure earlier. Well, that one looked pretty good. Nothing to be concerned with. Keep it growing. Slowly working back down to where the first two were. Not sure if those are catching the speeds. I think that was the same. Could be wrong. We'll review later. I've had issues picking up speeds going through these tubes, plus I'm back a little further than I'd like to be with the Garmin. $29.20.5. Picking up a little bit of mirage off that suppressor, but nothing too concerning. $29.25.4. And the extraction issue I thought I'd fixed is not fixed. Worked good back at the bench. I think I cycled about 80, 90 of them through with only one not ejected. Now I can't get hardly any. Yeah, Mirage is getting a little worse. Ooh, 2941, my Garmin got bounced. Thought I saw it hop a little bit last time. My little sled's moving back a little, twisting. Sure, it'll pick that up on the camera. And here's the last one. And then we'll go get this rounded up, go back to the bench, and look it over. So far, though, I'm thinking that Vitavore's grouping a little bit better. Could be wrong. Didn't feel like I was on that one quite right. I was moving just a little bit right as it went off, so we'll see. Alrighty. Got them all loaded up there. Let's check that last one for pressure too. Kind of skipped that a little bit. Yeah. Getting just a slightly perceivable little dent right over here from the ejector, but don't think it's anything to worry about after sanding those edges down on that ejector. Well, let's go gather things up. Yeah, so here we are. I'm going to go over the results a little bit, what we did today. So our first ladder test is here with the VV N150, 31.6, 32.5 grains, using the Berger 105s, bench rest 4 primers, and the velocities low end 2910, top end 2988. So we didn't gain 100 feet per second at all over it. Our very first shot was up here, and we came down around here, back and forth a little bit. But I like down here, I think it was 7, 8, 10 hit here, 9 hit right there. That tells me that right there is a really good place to try and develop a load. So down the road, I'll probably load up 5 of each, and we'll go out. We'll test them out at 200-yard range. Then on the Reloader 15, unfortunately, my target camera died. So I only saw a first shot up here, second shot down here. I wasn't paying that much attention. I think the next couple were up here, down here. Then I'm not sure where this shot came from, that one or those. And I can't count 10 rounds either, so I'm thinking there's 3 over here, another 3, 6, 7, 8, 9. I'm missing one of them somewhere. But I'll pull up some info up here shortly as well. Share that on the computer. I got a little Excel sheet that I use, kind of graph the velocities as they go up. There are some flat spots if people are interested in that. Maybe I'll try a couple there just to see if our ESs and our SDs are the best there, or if we go up to a different range. And I was correct on the range. One of these rounds here didn't pick up speed, so I did highlight that in the graph, which you'll see here shortly. So here's a closer look at that group with the Vitavore. As you can see, that 7, 8, and 10 are right on top of each other. 9's not too far away. Figure we got a nice little node in there we can work with, barrel, harmonics, everything. Seems to be falling in line. I'm thinking we should be able to get something pretty spectacular out of that one. Here's my little Excel sheet that I put together. I put all the inputs in, and then it graphs it out so that way I can see the velocities change. A lot of times I'll do this mainly for loads that I've developed to see the variations from shot to shot, see how consistent it is, just to visualize it. But if you're looking close on here, it looks like from around probably 31.9 to 32.2, somewhere in that range. It just goes from 29.43 roughly to 29.50. So that's a pretty flat spot if you're going by the Satterley method. I believe that's who worked that one up originally. I might give it a whirl just to see how it works out. In the past I haven't had the best of luck. A lot of times I'll pick a node. You see those last 4 nodes are, a nice consistent growth all along them. So if that holds true, those ones should have a bit more of a crazy ES if we pick one of them. So I might, just out of fun, pick a couple of those in that flat spot and a couple of them on that riser there, and we'll do a test later. Here we're looking at the group that was shot with the 15.5. Overall, I'm not disappointed or anything with the group. I think that did show some potential promise. I did throw some numbers on there just to try and count holes, see overall group, but those numbers aren't in order with how they were shot. The first couple were, but after that kind of lost track of which one was which and which ones went in the same hole. If you see there's 9, maybe 10 holes. That upper right looks like maybe there's 3 holes there. So there's some promise there. I don't know if they're kind of stacking all at the same time or if it was just kind of back and forth and randomly falling in the holes. So disappointing. The target camera died. I generally capture all that, but being as I was talking, ran into some other people there. The camera ran a little long, battery died, so I might have to rerun that test down the road just to kind of see where we're at. But there's some potential there. With the Reloader 15.5 here on this chart that I got, you can see it kind of starts off slow. There's not a big jump in velocities until you get over there to that 6th one, then it jumps up to 2920. Look, just about 30 feet per second jump. But that's the one that I'm pretty sure didn't register the speed, because I'm pretty sure I had the 2891.5. The next one came out the same. I was looking, I wasn't sure if it counted, and it definitely did not, because we only had 9 shots instead of 10. So I'll assume that's somewhere in the midpoint. Up at the top it kind of flattens out a little bit there, but if I was going to be chasing some sort of node, it'd be down towards that lower end. I might play with it a little bit down the road. I'd probably thinking about just rerunning the whole test since I didn't catch it all on camera, because I generally try and look for 2, 3 or more bullets basically going in the same hole or right close to it as I work my way up through the ladder. That generally indicates I got a little room to play with, plus or minus. Whether it gets hot, whether it gets cold, you still fall right in that range. So overall, a successful day at the range. I didn't get all the data I was looking for, unfortunately, but that's what happens when you reload. You rarely get all the data you're looking for. So that just means I'm going to have to keep doing this. If you like, please follow, hit that like button down below, and I'll be working on bringing out some more content as we move forward and we move through this process on the 6-dasher. I look forward to you guys reaching out to me, seeing what kind of comments we get down there below. It's something where this is all just a work in progress for me, trying to put these videos together. I look forward to you guys' input, see what kind of ideas you got. I know if we get through this 6-dasher at some point, I'll go through some other of the firearms I got, check some of them out. In the meantime, get busy reloading and get out there and throw some lead.